Okay. So, Mustafa, first of all, you're reading a Monster Calls, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
Monster Calls.
So which reading log entry would you like to share today?
Yeah, I used this one, and the prompt was again and again, and the idea that I saw constantly popping up in the book was either the word or just the concept of believing in belief, because Connor's mom has cancer and she's in the hospital, and he also meets up with this monster that tells him if you believe in something, it will be true. And so Connor kind of takes it to himself and he said, you know what, let me try this out. Let me believe that my mom is going to survive. And I feel like eventually this is not going to be true, and I feel like his mother's going to die, and he's going to not necessarily turn on the yew tree, but kind of ignore it because something that the tree told him was incorrect.
Okay. So you're making a prediction that the tree, like this message that's being repeated again and again by the tree, is not actually what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Why are you thinking that? Like, why do you think that the again and again message is going to be contradicted later?
Well, first of all, I feel like this tree is more of a hallucination, not a dream, because it doesn't really work. And his mother seems to be on terms of health really bad, and health is declining. So I feel like either way she's going to die.
So you're looking at like the evidence in the book to
Yeah.
show that contradiction.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, so this again and again, this idea of the tree saying this is going to happen, saying it over and over again. What does that tell you then about the character? Like, if you think this is what the character is imagining or hallucinating, what does that tell you about the character then, if that is like that thought that keeps going on in his head?
I feel like this is kind of like a coping mechanism. Like his mind is tricking him, it's going to be okay. And then when something bad actually happens, it's going to become really, really sad.
Interesting. Do you think this coping mechanism is helping this character?
Well, getting through the fact that his mother is sick, yes. But once his mother might as well pass away, it's not going to be helpful at all. It's going to make his mood decline.
Okay. And last question, usually when authors repeat something again and again, they're trying to really draw our attention to it, to tell us, to inform us of a number of things. But one thing an author might be informing us about is theme, okay? So what do you think this again and again might tell us about theme?
Well, the theme could possibly be either believing in something that might make you happy because his mother surviving is, at the moment, the whole world to him, and he doesn't want nothing more than that, just his mother to survive. So just believing in something that will make you happy instead of something that brings you down.
So if you were to put that idea into just 1 to 3 words, how would you encapsulate the idea of theme? A small phrase.
Believe in positivity.
Believe in positivity. But now here's a question. You had said earlier though that you're making a prediction that she'll die. So how does that idea of theme then fit with your prediction?
Well, possibly. Well, the theme doesn't necessarily fit with my prediction, but I feel like along with the characters changing, I feel like the theme is going to change throughout the book from the point I'm going from.
Okay, interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, first of all, what book are you reading?
I'm currently reading The Princess Bride, but I just started reading it, and so the entry I'd like to share is from the book I just finished reading called The 100-Year-Old Secret.
The 100-Year-Old Secret. Okay, so you're going to share an entry about the 100-Year-Old Secret. Okay, so what prompt are you wanting to discuss?
Well, there are lots of prompts in here about theme, and so I was thinking about that when I was writing. And so what's happening in the book is it's the great-great-great-grandchildren of Sherlock Holmes just moved to England. They found this case from their grandfather and went through and just picked one of the cases that he hadn't gotten to finish. And they tried to solve it 100 years later. So constantly, from the beginning to the end, it's a brother and sister, being there, trying to identify people, and just by looking at their appearance, how they walk, how they talk, everything. They're trying to say maybe what they do, what are some of their hobbies. So throughout the book, it becomes a useful skill because they're trying to solve a mystery about a missing painting that went missing 111 years ago or something. And it's called The Girl in the Purple Hat. And they constantly keep seeing this girl wearing a purple hat that looks exactly like the girl in the painting. So as they're trying to figure out first who the muse was in the painting, and later using that information where the painting might have gone, and if it's still out there somewhere.
So I'm going to pause you here. You've been going on about plot, and you're saying you're going to talk about theme. So what I want to ask you is, what is the specific prompt that you wanted to share? And then, like, did you
It's the underlying theme. And
underlying theme. Okay, so, now, I mean, thanks for the overview on the story, but let's get back to what do you think the theme is, and what's the evidence that makes you think that?
it's about being observant, and while looking at things on the outside, you also need to dig deeper, and you need to understand that some things aren't always as they seem.
Okay. Now, did the author use any symbols that would help us to identify this theme?
Well, one symbol was the girl, the person who was painted, and someone was making a reenactment of painting. And so there's this girl that's wandering around, looks exactly like her. And using that, the two characters are constantly describing her, their thoughts about her, and by using her saying, oh, she's exactly like it, but that's not the full truth, and something else is happening.
Why do you think the author chose to use this real-life girl that looks like a painting as a symbol to help drive this idea of theme that you shared, this observation?
Well, it was also a clue to help them keep going, but it seemed like a theme because symbol because they used that seeing the girl to help them think, oh, what if this happened? What if that happened? And by using someone in real life, interacting with them as in placement of someone else, help them connect what could have happened back then and find more information.
Okay. Just one other question, like what kind of changes do one or both of these characters go through?
It's a brother and a sister, and the sister is always teasing the brother, and eventually something happens and the brother gets really picked on. And the girl, while normally picking on him, finally stands up for him. And then later it switches places and she gets picked on. And instead of feeling like the victim or the little brother, he feels more responsibility over his sister, that he doesn't want anything to happen to her.
Why do you think the author has their character change go like that?
The character change is key to the result in the book. Without the character change, he would have not been able to figure out the feelings of feeling protective over someone and find out where the painting was in the end.
Okay. So what I hear you say is that in the end of the story, his change was to be no longer a victim, but also a protector. And then that directly aligns with his ability to then solve the mystery.
Yes.
So how might that idea apply to theme?
Well, character change often has a big role in the theme, and something that always happens with the character change involves the theme. And the theme is being observant, just digging deeper, not only seeing what's on the outside, but also seeing what else is there. And by having that switch, it lets the reader and his sister see, oh, he's not just my little brother, he's not just this fun kid who's my friend I can pick on because he's my brother. He's also someone that can stand beside me and help me when I need help.